What is going on, my Houston Texans family? The NFL draft comes to an end, and I have to say, I am excited for week one. Once again, the Houston Texans had the same mentality that they had for the previous 2 days. And that was if you want your player, if you want your guy, will you go out there and get your guy? General Manager Nick Casario once again was having a trade field day. He pretty much traded for every single one of these draft selections. We're going to break down how rounds 4 through 7 word for the Houston Texans. I am excited. There is now some national media love coming from ESPN, NFL, the 33rd team on Twitter. Everyone is giving the Houston Texans a good job for the way they approached and attacked the NFL draft. And it started with Dylan Horton, edge rusher from TCU. You can never have too many edge guys. Now, the draft profile comes from the Houston Texans. It was done by Chad Reuter. Go check it out. But Horton was an all district football and basketball player at Frisco High School in Texas before signing with New Mexico for 2018. When he played in all 12 games as a reserve linebacker, 13 tackles, one and a half of them for loss. After adding 20 pounds, Horton started 5 games for the Lobos in 2019, where he had 23 tackles, two and a half of them were for loss, and one and a half sacks, but missed the rest of the season with the ankle injury. He then transfers to TCU, guys, and this is where we kind of see the emergence, right? Transferring back home to TCU for 2020, he played in 8 games off the bench where he had 8 tackles, one sack. And then, guys, this is where we see him become the player and the reason why the Houston Texans traded up for him. Horton led the Horned Frogs with 9 tackles for loss and tied for the team lead with 4 sacks in 2021 with 51 total stops. Gathered an honorable mention all Big 12 honors. He was an honorable mention all conference selection in 2022, as well as tying for eighth in FBS with 10 and a half sacks, along with his team leading 15 tackles for loss, 52 total stops, and 15 starts. Dylan Horton had an absolutely fantastic game in the college football playoffs against Michigan. He had 4 sacks in that game, I believe, kind of really took it over. And this is the kind of draft pick I want the Houston Texans to go out there and get a position of need. Once again, the edge, the defensive line was non-existent for the Houston Texans last year. Yes, you did a great job by adding Will Anderson, but adding another guy who showed that he could get to the quarterback, 10 and a half sacks, ladies and gentlemen, is hard to do. And then you show up on a big stage like the college football playoffs and you made a name for yourself that night. I love this pick for the Houston Texans. You initially traded back where the Houston Texans were supposed to start the fourth round on the clock. They traded back and then traded up to get Mr. Dylan Horton. And then the trade fiasco continued because then they selected Henry Toa, linebacker from Alabama. Head coach D'Amico Ryans, he gets his LB from his alma mater. And Toa was a top 50 national recruit from De La Salle High School in California when signing with Tennessee. He was a freshman All-American and SEC All-Freshman team pick with the Volunteers in 2019, starting 12 of 13 games, 72 tackles, 5 for loss, a block kick. Tua led his squad with 76 tackles and 10 tackles for loss in 2020. Also intercepting 1 pass, breaking up 2 others while starting all 10 games at the will spot. He transferred from Tennessee to Alabama for 2021. Tua earned second team All SEC honors in his first season with the Crimson Tide, leading the team with 112 tackles, 8.5 of those for loss with 4 sacks, and breaking up 2 passes and 15 starts. He was a first team All Conference pick as a senior this year, starting all 13 games, 93 tackles, 8 of them for loss with 2.5 sacks. Don't forget Henry Tua was partners in crime with Christian Harris last year at Alabama, and both of them were a very good duo. Henry Tua is very good against the run, kind of a liability in coverage. He won't match up well against wide receivers, but the instincts are there. He has a knack of, getting to the football, that swarm mentality, all these players have. And another good thing about Henry Tua, and also with the rest of the way this draft played out, every single one of these draft selections, they were captains on their respective team. And I have to say, for the Houston Texans to draft players like that who were leaders in college and leaders, among really kids, I like that they are trying to build a culture, right? In a culture of leaders, in a culture of winning football. And then with pick 211, the Houston Texans selected Garrett Patterson, center slash guard from Notre Dame. Now, this is a guy with a lot of injury history, but Patterson was a top 30 offensive tackle recruit nationally as a two-time All-State pick from Mission Viejo High School in California. After redshirting the 2018 season, he suited up at center in 2019, starting all 13 games that fall, and started 8 contests in 2020 before missing the end of the year with a foot injury. It seems like he is consistently having injuries with his foot. But Patterson was a third team All ACC pick in 2020. He missed spring practices after getting a pin removed from his foot, but started all 13 games in 2021. He missed the 2022 season opener after suffering another foot injury in practice, but began the remaining 12 contests, shifting from spot over to left guard, slender slash guard. The only thing is he cannot be on the field, but when he is, very good run blocker, very violent, likes to finish the block. The Houston Texans, they get a depth lineman here, but I kind of see him as that Scott Quisenberry, Justin McCray type role where, play a couple games at center, play a couple games at guard, and then, we see how it goes out for the rest of the season. But the pick that I like the most today was Xavier Hutchinson from Iowa State, and I was put on by our boy Cody Johnson. And Hutchinson led Bartram Hill High School to the state title game as a senior. He went to Blinn College for 2 years and was rated a top 10 junior college receiver recruit after winning first team all conference notice in 2019. Hutchinson then transferred to Iowa State, garnering first team all Big 12 honors and conference newcomer of the year honors after leading his squad with 64 catches for 771 yards with 4 touchdowns in 12 starts. He was a first team pick in 2021 as well, leading Iowa State with a school record 83 catches for 987 yards with 5 touchdowns. He then exploded onto the national scene with another record in 2022, ranking third in FBS with 107 catches and seventh with 1,171 receiving yards. He led the ISU with 6 receiving touchdowns in 12 starts to garner first team Associated Press All Conference and first team All Conference honors. This is a guy who is not elite at anything but just a playmaker, right? He doesn't have elite speed, doesn't have elite separation, doesn't have elite route running, but wherever he went, he was a very good football player. When you transfer from Blinn and then go to a D1 school like Iowa State and then lead them for 3 straight years in the receiving column, you are a damn good football player. I am excited for Xavier Hutchinson. And then the Houston Texans, they ended the draft with Brandon Hill, and he ran the fastest 40 among safeties, a hard-hitting guy. Hill redshirted his first year in Pittsburgh, coming off a strong career at Waukegan High School in Florida. He started twice in 10 games, played in 2020, 27 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception return for a touchdown, and 2 forced fumbles. Before starting 13 of 14 appearances in 2021, garnering second team All ACC honors, 81 tackles, 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. He was an honorable mention All League pick in 2022, where he had 67 tackles, 2 pass breakups, starting 12 games and then opting out of his team's poll game to prepare for the draft. Brandon Hill, he wraps up the draft for the Houston Texans, a special teamer here. And this is how it ended for the Houston Texans. Guys, y'all let me know what you think about the Houston Texans. I am going to give my grades tomorrow. Go Houston. You guys have a very blessed day.